Hi, welcome back to Project Live Awake. My name is Jana Nixa. This channel is all about mastering your mindset, raising your vibe so that you can wake up to all that you truly are. Today's topic is about Ho Oponopono, and I'm super excited about this. I just got certified as a practitioner in this, so I'm super ready to teach it to you guys. The basic fundamental truth about Ho Oponopono, and is the funny thing about this, which you find this with a lot of spiritual things that are out there, is that it's very simple in the sense that if you can grasp just a few basic concepts, that's all it is. But being able, the human mind wants to complicate things so much, and so we want to make all these rules and parameters. And it was so funny going through these workshops because people were asking questions like, so what if, how do I need to say this? And what happens if this person is involved in trying to analyze? Because that's what our mind loves to do. It loves to try to make sense of everything and organize everything and find the patterns. And so I bring this up first, you guys, because I want you to watch yourself. You know, we do a lot with watching ourselves on this channel and our thoughts and what we're trying to do when we're hearing certain things and how our mind is starting to pick it apart and judge and do all of those things. So I'm going to ask you as we go through this to watch that part of you and to keep yourself centered in the beautiful simplicity of this. So the first fundamental thing you have to get, and this does take time, and this may come as a shock, especially if you are newer to watching some of these videos or any of this type of content, and that is 100% responsibility. If you look through countless spiritual texts, books, from dating back to, of course, biblical times prior to that and all the way into present day, you will see countless places where people have said that we have full responsibility for what happens in our outer world, that our outer world is truly a mirror or of a reflection of what is going on in our inner world. And the problem that we all run into and what we rub up against constantly is we're trying to fix everything out here, okay? And that's time consuming. It requires a ton of energy. And ultimately, you may or may not have success with that, because what you're gonna find is it's still in here and it's just gonna keep coming up. You see it all the time with the friend who constantly dates the jerk, right? Or the guy who just can't hold down a job. You see these repeat patterns with people, the person that just can't lose the weight. And it's because you can do everything. And it's unfortunate because we're just taught that everything's out here. And that's where we need to fix it. But it's all in here. And so it's kind of like that quote that goes, wherever you go, there you are. And so that is the first fundamental truth of Ho Oponopono, is it's all in here. So anything that's happening, even if it has nothing to do with you, if it's in your direct reality, then it is your responsibility to take ownership of it, acknowledge it, and release it, because that's the way this works. So the kind of second fundamental truth is if we all do our part and own our outer world and basically claim it and apologize for it and replace it with love, then a lot of this data that circulates out there, a lot of these thoughts that brush in and out of our awareness, a lot of these experiences, a lot of these people, a lot of these this emotional baggage, all of these things that we carry around with us and we come into contact with are released. So that is really just the fundamental truth behind it. So the way that there's 4 different sayings, and according to Dr. Hulin, he's also known as Dr. Haleakila, and he is, this whole terminology, this whole thing of Ho Oponopono originated in Hawaii, And his teacher, and I don't recall her name, but let's just say even for Dr. Hu Lin, this whole sort of thing was really difficult for him to grasp. He was saying in these seminars that he actually walked out of trying to learn this, I think like 3 or 4 times. And finally he said, listen, I'm paying for this, like $500 a pop each time I do, so I better just sit and listen. And his, background was in therapy. So it took him a minute to really grasp this, and that's why I want to share that with you guys and encourage you that this goes against everything we've ever been taught. We're taught, 1, it's not our problem, it's obviously the other guy, and 2, if there is a problem out here, I can fix it out here. And so it's really it's flipping everything that we know on its head. So even this teacher who actually wrote a book with Dr. Joe Vitale, it's called Zero Limits. And Joe Vitale has kind of brought this more up into the norm using Dr. Haleakila's teachings. And so even for him early on was a really, really tough concept to grasp. So just to give you guys a little bit more background on him, he was a therapist out in Hawaii, and he actually didn't work directly with any criminals, but he worked at a mental institution where he came in contact with, or there were people there that had major crimes that they had committed. He does not go into detail, but I don't think we need to. The point is, without ever seeing these men, he just read through their charts and watched what came up for them. Because remember, even if you're reading it, if you're experiencing any of these things in your out of world, any negativity, I guess if you want to call it that means it is in you. It's circulating through our field. And so it is up to us to clear that, to clean it, and to acknowledge it, apologize for it, let it go, and replace it with love. And so by doing that process, he was able to cure these criminals of the patterns that they were in, the thought process that they had, and make them into a more positive version of themselves without ever having done any therapy with him whatsoever. So again, the process, and this is just kind of the proof is in the pudding, by reading through their charts and understanding the crimes they committed and watching what came up for him, like, oh my God, that's terrible, or that person is evil, or, whatever those sorts of things, those emotions that is drawing up in him, because he would acknowledge this and apologize and release it, it actually left these criminals as well. I guess another principle we should probably acknowledge here is the connection of all people. And so by him clearing it and cleaning up himself, now what's mirrored back to him in his reality and his experience of these people is now a much more positive version. So I hope that makes sense. Please feel free to comment. That is probably the biggest Cliff Notes version of it. And I am happy to dig deeper and happy to go further. But honestly, you guys, it was really Dr. Hu Lin just continuously repeating himself. I mean, somebody would raise their hand and, well, what about? And he's like, you just need to clear it. You just need to acknowledge it. And I keep saying clear and clean this. And here are the 4 phrases you want to commit to memory and just to have it. And one is, I'm sorry. Please forgive me is number 2. Thank you, number 3. And I love you, number 4. These guys are asking all of their questions. They're saying things like, well, who am I saying this to? And so when you say I'm sorry, you're apologizing really to the greater consciousness, God, but also the data, okay, that you are working with in this moment, and acknowledging that maybe it brought up some feelings in you and you forgot for a minute who you really are, which is an extension of God's consciousness, of God, of universe. And so you're acknowledging that in that moment. I'm sorry. I fell for it again, so to speak. And you're apologizing for being consumed with something that is not of you. And then please forgive me is you're taking responsibility. Again, everything we experience, 100% responsibility for. It is an opportunity for us to grow, for us to heal, and for us to release things that no longer serve us or anyone else for that matter. So you're repenting. Please forgive me. And then thank you, because ask and you shall receive. I mean, what it says in the biblical text and in all sorts of different spiritual texts that, ask and you shall receive. Ask for forgiveness and you are forgiven. And so you ask for forgiveness. Please forgive me. And then, of course, thank you, because it is done. And so it shall be. And so those are the 4 phrases. They're super powerful. At this point, what I have realized is I've been saying them so much and watching myself as I come into contact with people who may rub me the wrong way, or just driving down the road, whatever it may be, that I am very consciously aware that I'm just saying this all the time now. And the more you say this, the more it just becomes a habit. In the past, being more of that spiritual mindset, I'd say, "Oh, stop it, Jana. Don't think that," or they don't know what they do, and you're just hurting yourself by judging. And I'm having more of that type of dialogue in my head when I'm having some of these sorts of thoughts about a situation or a person. But now it's just, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm just taking responsibility for my experience, for my thoughts. I'm clearing them or cleaning them, as Dr. Haleakila would say. And I'm all nervous saying that, because he did say in the presentation that in Hawaii, it's very important that you do pronounce things exactly correctly. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Dr. Hulin is just probably the easiest way to say it. And so those are the phrases. That is the school of thought behind it. And I would love to hear how it's working out for you. I really, really appreciate you guys having the willingness to even try something like this. It's very, very much goes against the grain of what we've been taught, but it is super life-changing. I have seen things shift in a moment. I have seen relationships in my life that have always been extremely tough, even on my spiritual path. Truly, the energy has just shifted completely. I have seen situations where I thought it was going to go in one direction, and as I cleared and walked through it, they went in a completely different direction. So it's been very, very powerful for me, and I would love to hear how it's working out for you guys. Please comment below if you want to hear more about this topic. I am happy to answer questions and dig deeper. So this was just kind of the surface Cliff Notes version, if you will. But anyways, thanks again for watching. If you like what you're hearing here, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so that you can be notified every Tuesday and Thursday when I release a new video. Thanks again for watching, and as always, keep shining your light.